Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with part 2 of my book recommendation series that I've started. I'm so glad that my first video went down as well as it did. I honestly didn't think I'd get any feedback or anyone to be interested in the book club, and the fact that people are actually interested in like starting a book club is crazy for me. So I will mention about that at the end of the video. I have got P running around today, so if there are toddler noises then that is why. So I'm going to crack on and recommend again another 4 series of books to you, and then I will discuss the book club at the end of the video. The first series of books I'm going to recommend you is again by Giovanna Fletcher. These are actually library books. If you haven't checked out your local library, definitely recommend it. I only discovered it this year. I don't know why I thought that it costs money to get books from a library, but it doesn't. They're free. I can take up to, I think it's 12 books for up to like 3 weeks, which is incredible. So that's how I discovered also about so many fantastic books. So also, if you're interested in the book club, go check out your library, and then it doesn't cost you anything. So we've got Billy and Me, and we've got Always with Love. I will say, one thing that does irritate me is that the covers don't match. These are a series and this doesn't look like this, vice versa. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, I will read the blurb of this one, like always. Sophie May has a secret, one that she's successfully kept for years. It's meant that she's had to give up her dreams of going to university and travelling the world to stay in her little village, living with her mum and working in the local tea shop. But then she meets the gorgeous Billy, an actor with ambitions to make it to the top. When they fall in love, Sophie is whisked away from the comfort of her life into Billy's glamorous but ruthless world. Their relationship throws Sophie right into the spotlight after years of shying away from the attention. Can she handle the constant scrutiny that comes from being with Billy? Most of all, is she ready for her secret heartbreak to be discovered and shared with the nation? This is about Sophie, who lives in her village and she works in a tea shop. It sounds like the most picturesque thing you could ever imagine. It's like called Teapot on a Hill from what I can remember. And she is serving customers, and then one day Billy comes in and she doesn't know it, but Billy is starring in the main role of Pride and Prejudice. But no idea who he is, and it just evolves from there. It's all about their relationship and how they cope with being in the limelight, because obviously she's not used to it. It goes on about how Sophie has got this really big secret, and if I'm being completely honest, it's not a really big deal. I found it a little disappointing, but I get it, but it wasn't anything scandalous. One other thing I found about this book is it's a little bit cringy in the sense of, I think it's just the character. There's no swear words, whereas Dream a Little Dream there's swear words and it's like adult, whereas this could be read by, say, a teenager, because there's not really any swear words. Instead of saying bloody hell, she said blooming hell, and it's just like, grow up, if you know what I mean. But other than that, I would highly recommend it. Such a heartwarming, lovely, easy read. I flew through it in one day. It just made me smile, it made me cry. The second book I actually preferred. I'm not going to ruin it at all because that will ruin this one. I have to like read this on holiday. It was a really good book and I would definitely recommend it. Next series of books, I'm stepping away from lovey-dovey and going more into action, and that is The Maze Runner. So you've got the trilogy and then you've got the prequel here. If you haven't heard of The Maze Runner, it is now being turned into films. Currently 2 films are out, the 3rd one is getting released next year, which I'm really excited for. It was supposed to come out this year but it got delayed. So we have got The Maze Runner, we have got Scorched Trials, which is book 2. Book 3 is The Death Cure, and then book 4, which is the prequel, which is Kill Order. So this, what happens in this book actually takes place like 20 years or 15 years, I can't remember, before the actual maze. So this is how it should be, but read it like this, if that makes any sense, which it probably doesn't because it's me. So The Maze Runner. I would also recommend, if there are films out that have characters, Google the names. I do this all the time. I find it really difficult to imagine what characters look like. Every love interest that I ever read looks like Ed Westwick, also known as Chuck from Gossip Girl. I don't know why, but every time I think of a love interest, I just think of him. So I would definitely recommend looking up names, Googling the names, and then just seeing what their pictures look like, because that helps me. Anyway, so The Maze Runner. Let me put the other 2 down. I will read the blurb. When the lift cranks open, the only thing Thomas remembers is his name. But he's not alone. An army of boys welcome him to the glade, an encampment of the centre of the maze. The Gladers have no idea why they're there or what's happening to the world outside, and following the arrival of a girl with a message, they must find a way out or die. The main character in this book is called Thomas, and he goes into the Glade. Basically imagine like a huge field and then 4 walls around them, like really big tall stone walls. That's the Glade, and there's only boys in there, and he can't remember anything apart from his name, and then he gradually just accepts it for what it is and adjusts to life. They all have different job roles, so medics and like chefs and people that deal with like the animals, like all the livestock, and then there are things called runners which go and run out in the maze. Past the 4 walls there are doors that open in the morning, they close at night, and then past those is the maze. The maze changes every single day, so there's job roles called runners who go and run out the maze and map it and then come back and diagnose it, and they basically try to figure out, like the book said, like the blurb said, why they're there, how to get out, what are they doing. And it's really good. It's definitely action packed. There's no love interest at all in here, not really. My favourite book was the second book, just because it was different and I wasn't expecting it. It was a bit more gory. Also a 5th book which I don't own, and that takes place between these 2. So it's right in the middle, and this is like before any of these characters, whereas the one in the middle, the 5th book, is about Thomas before he goes into the maze. So that's quite interesting. I really like this series. I read this a couple of years ago now. I love the films as well. They're nowhere near as good as the books. The books are really detailed. I will say, if you do decide to pick up this book, stick with it. It's a little bit difficult in the sense that they've got their own language or slang words, and there's a word called clunk, and it says you're a piece of clunk, so obviously that means poo or shit, whatever. So yeah, stick with it if that does sort of put you off. It is a really good book and I would definitely recommend it. If you've watched the films, read the book anyway, because the book is much better than the films and it makes more sense. The third series I'm going to recommend you today is one that I wasn't going to include because it's very childlike, and that is the Girl Online series by Zoe Sugg. I love these books. I have followed Zoe back when she started, before she was even on YouTube, so I'm a huge supporter of her anyway. But these books are really good. They are lightweight. You can literally, you don't have to pay much attention to these. So with the Maze Runner you have to be quite dedicated and in the mindset to read, because it's quite a heavy book to get into, whereas these you can just pick up and put down and it's just really easy to read. So the series consists of Girl Online, Girl Online on Tour, and Girl Online Going Solo. I need to pick up the paperback version of this because I don't actually like hardback books, but this one I got for Christmas from Neil and it is signed. So me being my little fangirl that I am, I had to get a signed version because I don't know, I just really like her. I like the books. Yeah, so Girl Online. Penny has a secret. God, all these books have got secrets. Under the alias, I don't know, Girl Online, Penny blogs her hidden feelings about friendship boys, her crazy family and panic attacks that have begun to take over her life. When things go bad to worse, her family whisk her away to New York where she meets Noah, a gorgeous guitar strumming American. Suddenly, Penny is falling in love and capturing every moment of it on her blog. But Noah has a secret too, one that threatens to ruin Penny's cover and her closest friendship forever. So, it's bringing back all the feels. I loved this book. So I feel like a lot of people think that Girl Online is based on Zoe's life, and it's not at all. She just writes about what she knows about, and I feel sorry for her that she's got this premise. Also, the whole ghostwriting thing as well didn't go down too well. I really liked the books. So it's about Penny Porter, who lives in Brighton. Her parents own a like a bridal shop, and it says that like her parents whisk her to New York. They don't whisk her to New York, they've just got a job to do in New York. And over Christmas time they get called to do a last minute wedding in New York, so that's what they do, and she meets Noah. I won't go into any more detail about Noah and all of that because that's sort of like a nice element of the book. Has a best friend called Elliot, which I love the relationship of because he's gay and they live next door to each other, and it's just a really cutesy relationship. I really liked that element of it. She's also got a really close friendship with her family, which is really sweet. It's just a really sweet book. book. That's all I can say about it. I really like it. I definitely recommend it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars because it just made me smile. And then the last series I'm going to recommend today, again, is another library book, and that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I really liked this book. I picked this up a couple of months ago from the library. It's not one that I ever wanted to buy because I wasn't too sure if I'd like it or not. And then every single booktuber that I used to watch would rave about how good this book was. So I waited until the 3rd came out. There's 3 in the series. I couldn't pick up the other 3 because I didn't have them in, the other 2, sorry, because I didn't have them in my library, which really irritated me because I wanted to show them all to you. But I'll put pictures on the screen so you can see the covers. So they consist of Red Queen, Glass Sword, which is the 2nd, and then the 3rd is called The King's Cage. My child's getting books out of her bookcase. I can't read to you at the moment, baby. I'm talking to a camera. The world is divided by blood, red or silver. The Reds are commoners, ruled by a silver elite in possession of godlike superpowers. And to 17-year-old Mare, a red girl from the poverty-stricken stilts, it seems like nothing will ever change. But Mare possesses a deadly power of her own, one that threatens to destroy the balance of power. Fearful of her potential, the Silvers hide Mare in plain view, declaring her as a long-lost silver princess, knowing that one false move will mean her death. Mare must use her new position to bring down the regime from inside. Now Mare has entered the game of betrayal and lies. So, what's my take on the book? It's about Mare. She's obviously a red, believes she's a red, but she's actually got silver powers. Silver powers, so think a little bit of X-Men. So, they can control fire, water, like the earth, like mind, metal. What else can I do? There's loads of different powers, which is really interesting. There's loads of different aspects. They're all called weird names. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But Mare doesn't know that. She manages to get into the palace for work, and something happens and she suddenly discovers that she has silver powers in front of everyone, and loads of people see that as well. So they have to take her in as one of their own. She can't go back home, and she is stuck basically in the lie that she can't get out of. If not, they'll kill her. Really shocking. I would say the last couple of chapters, well, I gasped a lot. I was sat there with my mouth open the majority of the time because it was just like you don't see it coming, and it was so good, so good. I loved it. It was a really, really good book, and it was one that I didn't think I'd like. So again, it's stepping away from like the lovey-dovey sort of thing and moving more towards like action. Again, this is a dystopian, so you've got the corrupt government of the king. My child has just stood up on her own, and she apparently can do that now. She couldn't do that. Give yourself a clap. Good girl. There is a love triangle in here between the 2 princes called Cal and Maven, which again I really like. There are loads of twists and turns, really shocking, really action-packed. Not too much lovey-dovey stuff, but there is just a hint of it in there. So if you want something that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, I would highly recommend Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. That is it from my recommendations this time round. I really hope you enjoy them. I've tried to mix it up a little bit, so you've got a little bit of action, a little bit of lovey-dovey stuff. Giovanna Fletcher is obviously aimed at adults as opposed to like the teen reads that I read. So hopefully you guys like what I've recommended. I will do a part 3, potentially a part 4, because I've got a load of books that I just like to talk about. So like I said at the start of the video, I just want to quickly talk about the book club. First of all, thank you to everyone that watched the video, let alone commented saying that you're interested in the book club, because I didn't think anyone would be interested, if I'm being completely honest. If you are interested in getting involved, send me a message on Instagram, because that's the main place where I speak to people. And we can try and get something sorted. And yeah, I'm really excited to start this book club. I'd like to think we can start it by the start of August, just so then we can have a whole month. I'm aware that people don't read as fast as I read, or some people might read faster than me. So if we dedicate a whole month to one book, we can all see how we get on. Maybe have some like goals, so like within the first week read blah blah many chapters. It's a work in progress. I didn't think anyone would be interested, but I'm pleased that people are, because I don't know, it's just cool, isn't it? So I'm going to end it off here. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!